Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to Mixed Media Mayhem, which is our Friday hop that includes mixed media. And today we have a recipe that includes multicolor, a patterned background paper, and ink. So I am starting out with this Heidi Swapp Sun Chaser paper that's got basically a rainbow of colors in it. And I'm going to use some ink. I went to my Silhouette software and I created this little circular, and it didn't have to be a circle, it could have been any shape, but it has all these number 2s on it in different fonts and also written out. And so I'm basically just using my pink blending brush with a little bit of ink on it and rubbing it around. I didn't actually go to an ink pad for this first pass, but I am going to actually pull out an ink pad and use it, and it ends up being kind of a little bit of the wrong color of pink, so then I pull out a second ink pad and I'm going to use that one as well. So and basically that was because my blending brush started getting a little bit on the drier side, and so I wanted to kind of make the imprints, I guess you would call them, a little bit darker. So I didn't want them as dark as what you see on that paper that I kind of like tested it on. If you want like a really soft look, once you dip your brush into the ink, you need to tap it off onto something else because there's a lot of really wet ink on your brush and it won't be a really soft look if you don't do that. So I did use the pucker up there for one of them, and then it was a little bit on the bright side, so I ended up pulling out this other pink, which is called it's a girl, so it's basically the baby pink. And I have these two photos of this little baby girl, and she is 2 months old in here, and I am gonna go ahead and scrapbook her 2-month photos. You're probably gonna see a bit more of me scrapbooking this little one and her big sister. These are the girls that I take care of, and so I've decided to I've talked to her parents, and they were totally okay with me using their photos on my album. It's not just going to go in my album, but they are going to be the recipients of several of these layouts. So I'm doing it as a bit of a gift for them. So I thought I would include that my process for you guys as I am working on it. So I did pull out some paper glaze in peony pink, I think is what it is. Yeah, it's peony pink, and I am just using a really old polka dot Heidi Swapp stencil to create that polka dot effect on some white paper. And I'm going to go ahead and layer it up just a bit underneath the one that has all the 2s on it. I did trim down my background paper that is the pattern paper, so that is one thing that we were supposed to use. Ink was another thing we were supposed to use, and it was supposed to be multicolor. So there's my multicolor background paper, and I'm using several shades of pink to complete this layout. And the ink is obviously on where it says where it has all those number 2s, and so I think I did complete the requirements of the recipe for this particular hop. So I went to my scrap bin. I pulled out a bunch of different pink papers, trying to figure out how I wanted to layer it up. I ended up with this really, really soft pink because some of the darker pinks were just a little bit too dark or a little bit too bubblegum pink, and they just kind of clashed with the pink in the upper right hand corner there. But this particular piece that I am cutting right now, I believe this is a Lawn Fawn piece of paper. That one and the really light pink, which was a Jen Hadfield piece from her Heart of Home collection. Those worked out really well. I do know that I want this paper bag behind. I am also going to end up tucking a journaling card in there, and so I'm going to trim that paper bag down. I am going to go ahead and correct the color issue with the pinks, mostly because they didn't really match perfectly with each other, let alone the paper. So I'm just going over all of them with that It's a Girl pink and that's a Catherine Pooler ink pad. Kind of giving it a little bit more of a similar color all the way across the board by covering it with a little bit of the same ink all the way across. So it was pretty easy to do, and I think it actually came out really nice in the end. Also, because there are going to be some things layered on top, you're not going to see every bit of it anyway, so I think that worked out well. So this paper bag, I don't want it full size. I decided I don't want to fold it down, so I just cut it where I thought it would work well. And then I'm using the cutoff piece to create the top of the bag as if it were the top of the bag. You could also use the top of the bag and just seal the bottom of the bag. That would have worked as well. So I'm not throwing away that additional piece, but I'm sticking it back in my little bin of things that I use for layering. And I think it'll, I'll be able to get more than one layout out of that one glassine bag. And then I use that same pink It's a Girl pad, and I didn't do a really thorough job of inking up, but I wanted there to be like a little bit of a blush color behind this polka dot paper, and so I kind of went over it with that. I did have to wait for it to all dry, which was not a problem. The paper glaze dries very fast, and so once it was dry, I just went over it with my brush. And I did ink up the edges with more of the It's a Girl ink. I'm just using my liquid glue to adhere the stenciled piece, the stenciled number 2 piece on top of the stenciled polka dot piece. And that is because with the texture paste, the paper glaze, you definitely do want to use some liquid glue to make sure it holds nice and tight. And so that's what I did. And then I'm going to ink up the edges of the polka dot paper, and I'm using another Catherine Pooler ink in Sparkling Berry. And that really matches the polka dots much better. The other is a really light pink, and the Sparkling Berry is more like what the polka dots look like. A little trouble with my ATG gun there. It didn't want to roll. It was really loose, and so I just tightened that up by hand. And then I'm kind of playing around with where I want it, and I decided, you know what, if I flip the whole thing over, I can put her up in the upper right-hand corner. All of the pink's going to be down in the lower left that way, but because she's wearing pink and there is a lot of pink paper and such, it will bring the pink up to this green corner. I will see less of the yellow and the green this way, and that made me happy. I have this die that looks like a recipe card or something to that effect. These are from Ellie's Studio, and I went ahead and ran that through my Sizzix switch, and I'm going to ink it up with some more Sparkling Berry just to kind of finish it off like I did the other polka dot paper. And then I'm using the Sparkling Berry around this big number 2, which was the leftover piece from that circular piece that I used for stenciling. This way I'll be able to add a bunch of journaling inside. I do want to talk about how I have known her since she was born, like within I don't know, 4 hours maybe after she was born. And so I also want to leave some room for her mom or her dad to go ahead and leave some notes in there if they choose to. So I wanted to leave quite a big journaling area available for that. I did want this number 2 to bring the polka dot effect down to the bottom right hand corner, so I went ahead and used more paper glaze in Peony Pink to go ahead and cover it with the same polka dot stencil from Heidi Swapp. Any polka dot stencil would do. It wouldn't have to be the one from Heidi Swapp, but that's what the one I had on hand, and so that's why I used that one. Now I'm going through my box of pink items. I actually have 3 boxes of pink things because pink is a very popular color in scrapbooking. So I have 2 that are really light pink, and then the other is a dark pink. I pulled out a bunch of different things. I've got this little piece of paper that has hearts on it. I'm going to tuck that in to the left of the photograph, and then to the right of that little piece of paper that I inked up to have kind of that same blush effect that the polka dot paper up above has. There were a couple of these flowers in the pink box those were fussy cut out of, I think, a Paige Evans collection, maybe not Paige Evans, but one of the collections. And so they were leftover pieces I hadn't used, and so they went into the pink bin, and now I'm pulling them out and using them here. I also had this little piece that had some scallops, and that was left over from another project, and so I'm pulling those in. They're both really light pink, but they have two different patterns on them. So one is going tucked in by this number 2. The other is tucked in by the flower up on the upper left-hand side by the bottom photo. So it just kind of brings in a little bit of softness, and I really like the way that that looks. And then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of everything and go ahead and stick that down. I want the 2 to lay the bottom of the 2 to marry up with the bottom of that colorful paper, but the rest of it, because it hangs down, I don't mind that it crosses over the white border all the way around the layout. I think that's fine, and I'll just trim it back. Don't forget to check out everyone else who's playing along with Mixed Media Mayhem. All of the links are down below in my description box, so you can go and check out what they are doing with this week's recipe. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I know we switched it up a little bit from scrap lifting to using a recipe. We still scrap lift the last Friday of the month, and if you are interested in playing along with that, that layout that we are scrap lifting is posted earlier in the month so that you can play along the last Friday of the month every month. If you are interested in it, go and check out the Facebook group for Mixed Media Mayhem. The link for that is also down below in my description box. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with this extra little flower. I know I want to use it because there's only one left, and so I cut it in half and I kind of tucked it in up above, and I think that looks good with that little label up there. And then the other half of it I tuck in, so it looks like there's a couple of flowers up there. I'm finishing it off by just sprinkling a little bit of Dylusion's white linen ink spray over it, and that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down below. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you so much for your time. Again, don't forget to check out anyone else who is playing along. If you did enjoy this video, I would love a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel as well. I do respond to all of my comments. It does take me a little bit of time to get back to you, so please be patient for that. But I do read them all and respond. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.